Mm-hmm.
Record to this computer. All right. All right. Well, it's so nice to see everyone. Thank you for being here at our first podcast, me and Gina. We were playing with names. We were thinking about the angry administrators, but then we might change it to something else. We're both educators and
we're angry. And a lot to be annoyed and upset with.
yeah, but we laugh about it every day.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, thank you for being here.
Yes.
So just to give an overview, we wanted to provide a voice to educators, by educators, and to families to get their perspective on different topics. And so our first podcast, our first session is how the pandemic is impacting education. And Gina and I were having a conversation recently, and we were talking about how it's so interesting how many of these educational institutions are moving forward as if it's business as usual, and it's not. You know, we're in a global pandemic and the world is in a crisis, and we're still trying to function as if this is normal. And there are limited resources and really efforts to address needs of people and families. And so we wanted to hear the perspective of parents who were parenting during the pandemic. We wanted to talk about what has changed, how has your life changed, how and if you have changed your parenting style, what does supporting your child's education look like in the pandemic? So I just wanted to maybe give a moment for each of you to introduce yourselves, who you are, and I guess we can start with Angelique.
I was like, not me. Just try not to make eye contact. Okay. Make eye contact.
Not when there are 4 people in the Zoom.
Right. That's a little hard to do.
Well, I'm Angelique, and I am a mother of 2, a new teenager as of June, and an 11-year-old as of last week.
Oh,
Teenager.
yeah. Happy birthday, and happy birthday to you.
My son is the teenager, and my daughter is the 11-year-old. And my husband is the leader of this troop of craziness. We homeschool, so quiet as it's kept, some people think that, homeschool is just, we just keeping it pushing. It's the same thing we've been doing. We've been locked in our houses, but no, we were not locked in our houses. So it is an adjustment for us as far as extracurricular stuff, but the academics is pretty much the same. We had to do a little bit of online school when the pandemic first shut everything down in March, April. So my son goes to a program once a week where a tutor goes over material with him, and then I teach him the rest of the week. And so that had to be online, which was interesting to say the least. Like for science, he had to dissect a cow eye online. So it was one of the do that program is so that we don't do science experiments on my kitchen table or my dining room table. So I had a cow eye on my dining room table. So that was my pandemic trauma. But yeah, that's just a little quick summary of the things that changed for us. But we've been riding this wave. It's more emotional stuff than academic because I homeschool, so that part didn't change that much. But yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to get into all that yet. Just introducing myself. Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Miss Angelique.
The eyeball, yuck.
Yes, that is.
Ugh.
Well, you know what? I dissected an eyeball in a classroom, so I can only imagine what that was like at home.
Mm-hmm.
My kids loved it. We were
Not
Girl
cool.
Scouts,
It
so
was slippery and it fell on my floor, and I was like, "Get it, get it!"
God. Do you have any dogs?
No.
Good
Okay,
thing.
'cause that would that
That would have been all bad.
would have been all bad because you might not have gotten that eyeball back.
The eyeball would have been a meatball.
Oh God, I would have thought. Oh God.
Are you getting a visual now?
what
Let's hear
about
from
you?
Danielle.
Yeah.
So hello to everybody. Danielle Payton is my name, and education is my game. I guess you could say that I've been in education for goodness, almost 25 years. But I'm coming as a parent right now. And it's been definitely a year that has been defined by many things. I would say for myself, if anything has changed, it has been my approach to parenting. Before, when my kids, if they didn't get any work done, I would be fire and brimstone, and you got to get out of this house in a few more years, so stop playing games with my money and all of these things, because you got no excuse. We keep a house, a roof over your head, you get food, you get everything you want, and most of everything you need and most of what you want, so no excuses. But now I've dialed that way back. And I'm pretty sure that my reasons for dialing it back are strictly because of the way this pandemic has affected our kids. And my husband and I, we have 3, and they're all teens. They're 14, 15, and 17. Our senior is the one who is, I think, affected the least because she's actually in early college. So in other words, you could consider her a sophomore in college right now. The other 2, our youngest 2, one is in high school, the other one is in the last year of middle school. They're really struggling with not being able to communicate with their friends because teenage years are so social. They've really struggled keeping a connection, and that has affected them psychologically. Even though I would say that our kids are lucky in the sense that they have each other. So I don't have an only child sort of situation. If it was an only child situation, I think it would be even more profound. But, they get along really well, so it's not a big issue. But, when they are kind of lackadaisical or slack with their work, I'm noticing the reasons aren't because they aren't focused or they're being kind of, I'm going to get to it when I get to it. It's more of a feeling of overwhelm. They're very overwhelmed with the amount of work that they're getting. And even though our kids, they are born during this time where they grew up with computers. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't grow up with computers. A little older, but didn't grow up with the computers. I don't think my family had a computer until I was senior in high school. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. And we didn't really use it. It was my dad who used it. And then in college, we started writing on word processors. I'm telling my age for real now, but you get my point.
Girl, no, I was using
The word
typewriter in
processor.
college.
Yes. But the point I'm making is even though our kids, they grew up with computers, they grew up with cell phones, and they're very tech savvy, they don't know how to apply that to education. And so when we have teachers who are not tech savvy and they're trying to educate kids online and they're doing it all their own way, you have a lack of continuity when it comes to the delivery of the education being given and the method in which to submit your work. The continuum is jacked. So my kids get frustrated and they feel overwhelmed. So they're just like, oh, I'm just giving up. My struggle is keep them encouraged. This is a year where I'm kind of like, you know what? I ain't even pressed about you getting straight A's. Let me just work with your heart and your mind because you can always catch up with the good work. And that trust me when I say that is a complete 360. But I'm more concerned about understanding that in this unnatural year, we can't pretend that it's natural. So I'm going to stop trying to make it natural. We'll just roll with the punches, take care of self, and let it flow.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, both of you.
Yes. So
Yeah.
much of what you said just resonates completely. I'm a principal at a high school and dealing with teenagers. So the how to keep them encouraged is the number one question, and how to keep them motivated. And, from Oakland, California to North Carolina to Europe to Africa, like that is the question right now, is how do we keep our youngsters motivated and encouraged and inspired to continue to pursue education. So let's get into some questions, shall we?
Yeah.
Even though you both shared so richly already, I just want to keep talking.
Yeah, so we'll present some questions and you can speak to them. We just want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to share. We also don't want to take up too much of your time because we know that you're parents and you have a life outside of this.
Nope. My husband's taking care of my kids. I told him I am free for an hour. Do you do?
All right. Cool.
Yes. Teamwork makes the dream work.
My kids, as far as I'm concerned, are big kids. They just don't burn down the house and don't come in here right now.
All right.
Can we just do that?
This is mommy time. I heard that. All right. Well, Gina, do you
want
want
to burn down the house?
Do you want to start?
You laugh, but teenagers?
Girl, I know. Yeah. Anyway, so you've tapped on into this a little bit already, but I'm curious. We are curious how your role in your child's education has changed, and if you can talk about what did things look like before and what does it look like now? How has your role changed? Your role in your child's education. And anybody can go first.
Well, my role as far as their education hasn't changed that much because I was their teacher from birth. But I can definitely piggyback on what Danielle is saying as far as paying attention to their mental health. Because I'm similar to her in the sense that I expect a lot from them. And because I am the teacher, it's double because, most kids' teachers aren't at home with them, but you wake up, here I am. When you go to sleep, here I am. So there are pros and cons to that. The accountability, for the most part, can be a little bit higher because I am a helicopter mom and proud of it. People make fun of me sometimes, like, you involved in too much of your kids' life. Well, maybe if more parents were involved in too much of their kids' lives, okay, I'm not gonna go there. But the thing that has changed is similar to Danielle. I'm trying, it's hard, but I'm trying to calm down on the academic requirement in the sense of you got to meet every single deadline. You got to do every single assignment. You need to do this many things today. It's the thing that has changed a lot for us is the schedule. Even though we're homeschool, I'm a morning person. So 7:30, I'm get up, get ready for the day. We're going to do our Bible lesson. We're going to eat breakfast. We're going to get school started. And now it's every day is every day. What is today? Is today Saturday? Is today Monday? What's today? It's all blurring together. And so sometimes bedtime doesn't happen when it's supposed to. So then I'm not going to wake them up early so that they can be grumpy all day and we still don't get nothing done and we fighting. So I'll let them sleep in. So that kind of flexibility is more now because of, this pandemic and the frustration of, but we get up, but we can't go nowhere. Well, I got to put clothes on. Why can't I stay in my pajamas? Which that's we stay in pajamas a lot anyway because we homeschool. But we do have days where it's you need to get up, come on, let's get this happening. So the change for me is definitely trying to manage their mental health, which means not being such a stickler on the academics, because the academics will come. The academics, I feel like one of the most important lessons of homeschooling is teach them how to learn. I don't have to fill all the gaps, but if I teach them how to learn, they will always be able to fill in whatever gaps there may be. And that is something that I had to learn the hard way, because I was very much like, do the curriculum from page 1 to page 300. That's the end, that's where we end. And people in homeschool and public school would tell me, well, nobody completes the curriculum. I don't care. There's gonna be gaps, But this year is actually, one of the blessings of this year is to take a breath and say, you know what, there's more important things than finishing this book, this curriculum, this whatever, is everyone okay? Be thankful that we're healthy. Be thankful that daddy's still working. Be thankful that there's a roof over our heads, because everybody's not in that same place. I saw a meme the other day that said, we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. Some people are on yachts and some people are like in inflatables with a hole in it. Mm-hmm. So, that's one thing that I have to talk with my kids, especially my daughter, about, because she misses being out more. And she can get very, like any of us, very, woe is me. Like, no, you got lots of blessings. You need to focus on what you need to be thankful for, because your life actually hasn't changed that much from the pandemic. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Oh, thank you for sharing. It's important to get that perspective. Mm-hmm. I think at least some of the challenges that I have when I am in conversation with parents is, they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And, I'm talking to them a lot. It's like, this is an opportunity to get reconnected with your family, yes. And to think outside the box, but I feel like in my position, I have to be careful about how I word things as well, because, at work, I'm representing one thing, and I also understand a bigger picture. That's what is most important, which is what you and Danielle touched on, is the mental and emotional well-being of the children and the family as a mm-hmm. whole. Danielle, what do you want to share?
I absolutely think, I'll make this brief. When I was in high school and college, I was straight A's. Because I was told you got to be the grade-focused student in order to succeed. Got the opportunity to get full scholarships to college and grad. It's like, that's the way to go. But you know what? Let me tell you, I've learned in all of that experience, some of those people I used to tutor, they make more money than me. You know why? Because they focused on a skill. They focused on a skill. And it doesn't mean that they became plumbers or anything. It sometimes means that they learned how to do banking, or they learned how to be an excellent salesman. Anything like that, they didn't worry about that 4 and 4 make 8. They worried about a skill. And so I was thinking about that at the beginning of the pandemic. I said, you know what? A lot of the parents, they're pressed about these dadgum grades. What about the child? We've been thinking about more so that holistic thinking about being balanced and understanding that there's more to life than grades. And so I've been spending a lot of this time with my husband. We've been thinking about skills, and we've been really taking a hard look at our kids and saying, you know what do you want to do? What is it that really speaks to you? And what are you going to need to know as an adult? Do you know, I never was taught by my parents how to balance a checkbook. I had to learn that on my own when I was in my 20s and bounced several checks. Or I was never taught how to, bake a cake from scratch. I had to learn that on my own when I got married and decided I want to impress my mother-in-law. Stupid stuff, but you get the point. Mm-hmm. So I've been talking to our kids about, let's learn a skill. Let's learn a task. that's going to be helpful for you in the future. Let's learn a skill that maybe you think you want to learn and can cultivate when you become an adult, so that you can take that skill and actually apply it in real terms to the life that you want to live. And I'm not going to cuss and forget a grade. Because the grade, I mean, I'm just saying, I understand the grade thing. I get it. God knows I do. But I have students who are straight A students, and they're not getting straight A's because, you know, online education is hard sometimes. And so they're falling to pieces. But my kids who have outlets, who have things that they are doing, or they're spending time with their parents. I had one student say, I learned how to bake bread. Yes, that was really cool. Awesome. Awesome. I'm more concerned about the skill. I think we need to focus more on the opportunities that this pandemic has given instead of the negative. And like Andrew saying, yeah, we're in the same storm, but everybody isn't in the same boat. I realize that we've been very blessed. And so let's keep those blessings by stop focusing on the negative and do something positive. Do something positive with the kids. Make those connections, learn new skills, get onto Headspace or Calm or some sort of thing. And I've taught my kids, we've been doing yoga together, stuff like that. You know, and it's been really positive. My kids were like, at the very beginning of the pandemic, were like, wow, this is so crazy. Everything is discombobulated. I don't know how to react. They have learned, you know what? I'm going to get my Headspace app and I'm just going to take 20 minutes. I'll tell them, go meditate because you're tripping. Go. And they'll do that. And they come back completely better. Yeah, Mom, I really just needed a minute. I'm sorry. Like, okay. Mm-hmm. But they're learning to do that on their own as well. That to me is a huge balance. That's a huge learning curve that a lot of times people as adults don't yet understand. And so I consider that a win, that my kids know, okay, I'm bored. Instead of being bored, they can now go for a book. I don't have to tell them. Or they say, Mom, let's go for a walk. They go for a walk. Or my son just the other day said, hey, let's do some painting. We did some painting. But we took our opportunities and we made them positive. I'll keep talking, so let me just hush.
Well, you know, for me, so I work in an elementary school setting. And so many of the interactions I have, our families are in crisis. They're struggling, you know, and, you know, they do need to be encouraged. So I have some questions, but I just want to ask this one that I didn't present to you before. What words of encouragement do you have to offer those families, those parents, those mothers, those fathers, those grandparents who are taking care of their grandbabies? What's one or two things that you can offer as comfort to these parents who are doing the best they can and are struggling and in crisis?
Now, when you say crisis, that's a qualifying word. Are you saying like a mentally crisis event or financially crisis event?
You know what, you can define it however you want to, because everybody is, like Angelique said, we're all in different boats. Mm-hmm. So some are in yachts, some are in the inflatable with the hole, and some of them are hanging on to a piece of wood.
Yeah, right. I would say a financial crisis that, you know, some of the families that I work with might be experiencing, or some of my friends, is leading to an emotional and mental, and in some cases even physical crisis, right? And so, yeah, the tidbits of wisdom for our listeners would be amazing from these two beautiful and wise women.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
It's true. I have so many ideas just listening to both of you speak. It's amazing.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you the one piece of advice somebody gave me, because I was really honestly floored by the idea that we were being sent home from school. I was really shocked about that because I had no idea that it would get that serious. And here we are months later, and we're still chilling. The best piece of advice I got was to focus on the positive. Really. And I'm telling you, focus on the positive. I've had, like, for instance, my husband, when at the beginning of the pandemic, he had hip replacement surgery. And so he wasn't working. And so after the hip replacement surgery, he was out for a few weeks. And then his job was like, well, we're going to have to reduce your hours. So as far as financial, oh, I get it. I get it. But if I sat there and I thought about, okay, our income has been greatly reduced. Am I going to focus on, how things are looking, or am I going to focus on the good? I got to focus on the good. There are some things that we just have cut out. We're not eating steak, we're eating hamburgers, but instead of making it negative, we're grilling. Or if we can no longer get, I can't buy the fancy chocolate chip cookies at the bakery, so we making them, and we make it fun. There have been some times when the bills and we looked at each other and laughed, but I could pay some. I could pay some and eventually catch up until, my husband's job comes full. It's slowly coming full. But during that time, especially in the summer, man, there was some tight times, but I just focused on the positive. I went on and I got my community. I said, hey, you all know what's up. And they were like, oh, there's a food bank over here. Go on and get you some food, or let's do this. I went on and got it. I had ordinarily thought that going to the food bank is something that people who are just destitute go to. No, you can go get you whatever you need because these kids eat too much. And so I said, I'm gonna go on and get it, even though I still have a paycheck, we still have money coming in, and we still have a home, and nobody's sick. Go on and get the help that you need, and don't hold any shame in it. I think the problems come when we mess around and wait too late for asking for that help. When we wait too late, sometimes it's at the point where we really are in crisis, where we really don't have a lot of options that are available to us. Because when you're in a deep crisis, you need the help now. But if you see in the horizon, this is getting ready to be a problem, if you go on and make application to programs, if you make application to opportunities, then they can help you stay afloat so you don't come to that deep crisis. Am I making sense there? It really is a question of adulting.
Hello.
Now, I will say, I'm not saying that people who are in crisis are always not adulting. That's not true, because I've been in that position too, where something will sideswipe you and leave you breathless. But a lot of times there are opportunities out there. You can take advantage of them, but you might also have to just go on and tighten your belt and be humble for a little while and understand things will change. It won't be forever.
Wow, thank you for that, Danielle. He's even Bougie. I don't know if you heard Bougie in the background.
Yeah, Bougie agreed.
He had to agree with that.
Is there anything you would like to add, Angelique?
First, I just want to say I really appreciate what you're saying, Danielle, because I can definitely get caught up in my own little bubble. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't bring in an income. And so when this all first happened, part of me was kind of like, what is the big deal? What's happening? Because I don't, we look at what our situation is. We don't look at other people's. And so as I started to pay more attention to what other people were going through, I was just like, I am so blessed. And I'm thankful that I'm already in a position of doing some of the things you were talking about. Like, because we have one income, there are times my husband does taxes. So that's the overflow season. And then when tax season is over, then I need to pay a little bit more attention to what, we're not going to Starbucks. We're not, whatever the little side extra things are, we're not doing that. And some years he also does real estate. So that's flexible, that you don't know when that income is going to come in like you do a regular paycheck. But he's also a very, very creative businessman, and I trust him, and I see him not getting sideswiped in the sense of, oh no, this happened, so I'm gonna sit down and just wait it out. Like, he's like, okay, this happened, okay, what I gotta change? Because like, he was planning on selling one investment property like right when the pandemic shut us down, and tried to sell it, and it was like, well, you could sell it for a loss, but then why did you put all that work into it? But then it's like, but where's the income gonna come from? And so my role in that is trusting him, supporting him how I can, making sure the house is clean, making sure dinner is ready, making sure, that there's not chaos at home after he's been out trying to make it happen for us. And also I help him with the business in the sense that there are things I can do to help him that doesn't cause income to go out. Like, he asked me to help with like doing the flyers for his just listed properties, or postcards to market things that he's trying to do. And because I have a little bit of graphic design, very little background, I can help with that. And that's not some money that's going out, and I had to learn a long time ago to stop being selfish, especially in regards to that, because I was very, okay, I'm handling all the stuff with the kids. I'm educating them. I'm raising them. I'm handling the house. Like, don't ask me to do anything, especially when they were babies. And so we would fight. And I had to really take a look at myself and pray and ask God, like, why are we having this conflict? What is my role in this conflict? And he showed me, like, you being selfish, you need to help him. You're the helper. And so I had to change my attitude and really see that me helping him with the parts of the business that he's asking help for is not me taking away from what I'm doing with my kids. It's actually benefiting my kids, because we're working as a team. We are, put your mask on first, when not your COVID mask, your airplane mask. You have to clarify which mask.
The oxygen.
In the airplane, they tell you to put your mask on first before you help the little people, because if you can't breathe, then you can't help them. So if I'm not my husband, and he's on this side of the spectrum, I'm on this side, and we just like not working as a team, that's gonna hurt our marriage, and it's also gonna hurt our kids. And so I had to remember to be thankful and to help where I can, and look at my blessings, and to be an adult, not a selfish kid, and I think that that is one of the benefits of being able to spend more time as a family, teaching your kids life skills. Learn how to make a sandwich, make some eggs and some bacon, if it's cold, make some soup, don't put stuff on the stove, it's got fire. Hello. Don't, it sounds simple because it's second nature to us, but you have to teach those things. And I think part of some of the frustration, not the crisis stuff, but some of the frustrations that people are having about being home more with their families is having a parent. Like, your kid is home now all day, and what you gonna do with them? You can't just sit them in front of a screen. Like, yes, they gotta do their work in front of the screen, but when they're not in front of the screen, which you need to check and see if they need to be on the screen that long. I'm not gonna go on a tangent about that, but you need to parent. If you have these kids, which, like, I think that's one part of the problem is expecting teachers to parent the kids. They're not the parent. They didn't have them kids. They're there to provide education, but you need to be doing the discipline and the life skills and the, the come to Jesus moments where your kid is acting a fool for no reason, not because of, legitimate stuff. Like, there is stressful stuff about trying to learn a new way to learn. Like, I couldn't imagine being in front of a screen all day trying to learn something. Like, kids don't do that. Like, they have access to the computer limited. They don't have their own phone. I have a computer, I have a phone. My husband pays for those. You don't have a husband or a wife that's paying for that. You don't have a job. So you're not going to be having no devices. And, some people look at me like, oh, you so in the dark ages.
No.
My kids read, they write in cursive. They can research stuff on the internet if they need to. They know how to use technology. They can call 911 if somebody needs help. But they're not having free access to technology because the technology is not going to control my family.
Yes.
But back to what I was saying, like, you have to look at your blessings, and everybody has some blessings. Even people in the first situation have something positive to focus on, because when we focus on the negative, it just pulls you down. It just weighs you down. It just makes you heavy. And when hard things are happening, it's hard to find that positive thing, There was a lady at my church who was diagnosed with a brain tumor. They only gave her a short period of time to live, and she actually got more time. And at her funeral, they had time to do a video of her. And the first thing she said was, when she got the diagnosis, she didn't fall apart. She said, kind of chuckling to herself, she said, God, what are you up to? Blown away by that, because when something bad happens to me, I don't ask God, what are you up to? I'm like, God, help me. God, like, I can't, I'm not, I'm boo-hoo. And that's something that I'm trying to do better about. And I'm trying to teach my kids, like, you can't boo, because there are people in other places of the world that before this pandemic had some serious crisis, horrible things happening to them, and they're still standing. We come from Black people who have been through a lot of stuff, and they're still standing. And so you can't just crawl into a hole and die. You have to figure out what that thing is that's going to keep you strong. For me, it's my God. And, I find so much strength in my faith because it teaches me not to be selfish. When I don't feel like being bothered with making my kids do their schoolwork, like, I can get very frustrated and get very grumpy and, yelling at them and the whole nine, right? Like Danielle was saying, like, your job is to do your schoolwork. You don't pay no rent. You're not buying no food. You don't have any problems. You don't even have any problems to think about. Like, just do your work. And I have to also realize, though, that they do see what's happening, and it is stressful to them. They're worried too. They're like, are the grown-ups gonna figure this out? Because it doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah.
So that's where I have to, like, balance. No, you need to be stronger than that, and do your responsibilities, because at some point you are going to be a grown-up and you're going to have to face hard things and still do them, but also letting them be kids and comforting them and telling them, like, there are certain things you don't have to worry about. Mommy and daddy got this. You don't have to worry about that. So I feel like I went to a whole bunch of different tangents.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Life skills and focusing on blessings and not being, sometimes it just takes a little bit of go out and see what other people are dealing with. Go help somebody who is struggling with something. And then
service.
Oh my goodness, thank you, Lord, that I don't have to deal with that. I'm just in this, whatever. let me wrap it up.
I feel like I need to say, preach. Go on, Angelique. Go on. I guess I'm thinking, you are both educators and you are both parents. Is Danielle still with us? Is she frozen? Oh no. She's going to come back. She's going to come back.
Danielle, are you still there?
She's frozen.
She's frozen. Okay. Hopefully she'll be
Everybody
back.
freeze? Well, I'll ask the question, and then if she comes back, then yeah. That might be helpful. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
she'll be back.
okay. So thinking about the education system, because I am a principal in a high school, and from a parent perspective and also with your educator hat on, what do you want principals, teachers, school staff, folks who are steeped in this online learning stuff, what do you think is important for them to know in order for our youngsters attending public schools and private schools to be successful and to be happy?
It's so hard. I tell people all the time, I don't have a filter. I really feel like parents need to take more responsibility. I'm on the outside looking in, so maybe I'm off, but I feel like the teachers have been doing what, like, more than they should. And the parents really need to come to realize, like, I've had so many people say, oh, I don't know how you do this homeschool thing. I don't know how you have your kids home all day. These teachers, they're so amazing. Like, we want to put our kids need to go back to school because they need to get out of my house. And I'm like, I understand that feeling because I am home with my kids all day. But I'm also, I don't know how teachers do what they do. I have 2 that I'm teaching, and they're mine, so I can discipline them. I can, handle the issues the way I see fit, versus a teacher who's got 20, 30 kids in a class from all different families, all different backgrounds, all different issues. How are they supposed to be the parent too? I don't understand that. So I'm not sure what advice to give to the teacher. It's funny because when I was considering being in this, Gabrielle asked me, I was like, kind of like nervous, because I don't like, me and her talking, like, yeah, I can just talk on the phone with her and just keep But here I feel like, Mom, I don't have a filter, so please don't say anything that I'm gonna regret.
You know what? You can say what you need to say.
But when we were in school, I was a minor in education, and I did I don't know if you remember, Gabrielle, but I did a focus group on Teach for America, and it was Gabrielle and another friend of mine who I was asking these questions because I was wondering, like, should I be a teacher? I wanted to be a teacher, and to be quite honest, after I did that focus group, I was like,
You came to me to work one day with my 8th graders.
What?
You came to work with me with my 8th graders one day.
Yeah. I was like, not strong enough for that. It's funny that people say homeschooling is so hard, but no, being a teacher in private school, public school where it's not your own kids, that's hard. And so I applaud you, and I'm sorry that I don't have any word of advice for you, but I do have advice for parents. You need to appreciate these teachers, and you need to pick up some of the slack on this parenting stuff because it's your kid. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Welcome back, Danielle.
Yeah, I know. I was singing in the wind. I don't know what happened. Somebody must have kicked the box or something. I don't know.
It's all good. It's all good. The timing is perfect. I was just, we were talking about anything that you think folks who are working on school sites and steeped in this online learning since this pandemic thing started, what do you think is important for principals, teachers, school staff to know in order for our young people to be as successful as possible, and from a parent perspective and also with your educator hat on?
What is important? I'm not sure I understand. So what is
from your perspective as a parent, what would you want, given your experience, what do you want administrators, teachers to know about, what it's like, or what kind of support would you need? What basically, how can they help from your perspective of a parent?
I don't know. That's the difficult question for me to answer. And I because I'm an educator and I see both sides, it's hard for me to separate that, because I understand. I actually feel sorry for administrators the most, because they're in between rocks and hard places. They're getting these ridiculous directives from the main offices, and then they got to deal with temperamental and frustrated teachers. So I wouldn't want that. There was a time where I wanted to be an administrator, and then I was like, you know what? Because I don't have a filter. So it is not good for me. I actually, I would say as a parent though, talking to teachers, just that kids are trying. They're trying. I think I would tell parents, I think I would tell teachers to scale back the assignments, scale it way back. I had to have a meeting with a couple of my son's teachers because one quarter we have 9-week quarters, and they were giving my 8th grade son 20 assignments a month, which was absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. And so that was about 40 to 50 assignments. And I talked to her, I was like, look, I'm coming to you as a parent. I'm saying come on now. This is ridiculous. Well, I want to make sure he doesn't have downtime. I'm like, chick, he is in class for an hour. And all of these assignments, you get 2 or 3 assignments each day, that piles up. And with the other teachers, that's ridiculous. It just doesn't work like that. Technical problems, we had 5 people on our bandwidth at one time.
Yeah.
And if we're all video conferencing, come on. I said, so if every teacher does that, then my son has 3 hours after the 8-hour day. No, you're tripping. Get rid of all of that homework. It ain't that serious. He's not going to Yale next year. He's not going to Yale next year. Let's just keep it simple and tell me what he needs to pass. I'm gonna let that go. To administrators, I don't know if I could give any advice because, like I said, I don't know. I don't
Pray.
know. I really don't know. I think the administrators already know what teachers and what parents are going through. Yeah. So I don't think I have advice other than the teachers support you. I'm sorry, the parents support you, especially if they understand what's going on in the background. But Gabrielle, can I make a point about something I was about to make it before I fell off into the ether?
Yes.
When you were asking about parents and how things have changed for us and what to look on to as a positive, I think it's important at least for myself to state, I am coming from a 2-parent home. And the experience that I have as a person in a 2-parent home is very different from somebody who's in a 1-parent home. Mm-hmm. If I get tired of this is just this. If I say I want to do a Zoom with my girl and you know what, give me an hour, maybe two, I can do that because His Majesty is downstairs with the kids, right? And so nothing's going to burn down. If I was a single parent, I would not have that. Mm-hmm. If I was a single parent, I would not have the option of having a break. Even if you are a good parent and you are in your children's lives, every adult needs a break from the mind of a 13-year-old. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a single parent, I don't get that, especially if I'm somebody who is in a single child home, if you only have one child. Mm-hmm. Because if you're a parent and you have one child, you are the playmate, you are the confidant, you are the one. I got 3 because I said, you know what, after a year of having one child, I said, I can't, you need some friends. I made another one. And then I made a 3rd because I was like, now you got some friends. And so I can tell them go play and they interact and thank God that they get along. But I just think that's important to state.
You know, I appreciate that. That is important. And I don't know, Gina, maybe that's a conversation we need to have. Maybe we can, our next podcast, we can ask some single parents to come on and share their experiences. So we're coming on an hour and I don't want to, go on forever, but I want to say thank you so much, Angelique and Danielle. Like your insight has been really, really significant and actually helpful for me.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just the reminders, like what you shared can not only support other, parents, but also just anybody, because, you're absolutely right. Focusing on the positive and focusing on your blessings, like it is difficult to do that sometimes, but, what you shared with me just, is another reminder that when things seem really down, we can always take a moment, take a breath, and thank God for something, you know, or thank the universe for something, whatever your belief system is. You know, we can always be thankful for something, you know. And then also, I also appreciated the idea of, you know, seek out the help and don't carry any shame about it, you know, because we are living in a global pandemic. This is not normal. And we have to utilize the resources that we have, including our friends and families and loved ones to, and pets, you know, to bring us through to whatever this next phase is going to look like. So I definitely want to
think
thank
that
you.
the one thing I would give advice to everyone is, like Gabrielle said, this is not normal. Give yourself some grace. You don't have to do everything on the checklist. Even if you are a single parent, like the child can read a book. You guys can sit and read a book together, and that'll at least give you some quiet time, right? Like there are still ways to stop and take a minute for yourself. It's easier said than done, but I thought that was so funny what you said, because I tell my kids all the time when they say they're bored or they want to see their friend, you know what? Especially my son, your daddy and I worked very hard to grow a whole person for you to play with. Go play with her. That's real. And one of the many blessings of this pandemic is I've seen that my children get along. And when I don't try so hard to be that playmate and that everything to them, they find stuff to do that isn't detrimental to health. They have fun together. They like each other. They miss each other when they're apart. So that's a blessing. And I think that we need to show ourselves grace, and we need to show other people grace, because we're all dealing with the same pandemic in different ways. And that can try our nerves, and that can make us impatient and make us feel selfish. Like when hard things happen, we get selfish. We want to hoard toilet paper. We want to, you know, don't come near me with a mask, or don't tell me to wear a mask. We get very me. And we need to stop, take a breath, and be like, we are in this together. And sometimes we need to stop and take a moment to think about what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. It's hard to do that, because if you're not experiencing the suffering, you're like, okay, whatever, I feel bad for you, but I don't get it. But then you can also think about the times when you did have something hard going on, and who were the people that had your back, and what would it be like to not have anybody have your back? So just, you know, have grace with yourself, have grace with the people around you. My sister is the mother of a single child, and she works and her husband works, and all three of them on their internet was, you know, the video, they had to get a separate, I guess, hotspot or something for her daughter to do her schoolwork, because it was interfering with the work video conferencing. But her having to work, you know, 40 plus hours and manage her daughter's schedule, that was crazy for her. And she was putting so much pressure and feeling like a good job. I'm like, you are doing fine. Give yourself some grace. Take some stuff off that checklist. Everything doesn't have to get done. What's going to happen if you don't check everything off today? Nothing. You're still alive. You're still healthy. You still have your family. So I think we get too caught up in, I have to do everything perfectly, or I have to do everything. And you don't. Everybody, you can't do everything. It's not possible. So have grace for yourself and others. That would be
nice. Thank you, Angelique. Thank you, Danielle. So good to meet both of you. Yes, this is not business as usual. I want to emphasize the wonderful wisdom brought by our guests today. Focus on the positive, ask for help, work as a team, don't be selfish, practice spirituality, meditate, practice grace. That's a nice checklist for you right there. Thank you so much. This has been fruitful. Mwah, mwah.
Thank you. Before we go, I do want to give an opportunity. I don't know if you all are social media people, but if you had an interest in sharing your social media what are they called, handles or information, now would be a good time to plug your business. So, Danielle.
Wow. So, I could say quite a bit, and
We'll keep it short.
I will keep it. Yes, ma'am. I will definitely keep it short. I actually am someone who works to acquire multifamily properties, and I also look to purchase any income-producing businesses. So definitely hit me up. I am ZPAC Covenant Resources.
You
I
spelled that?
also, yeah, sorry.
Is that on Instagram or what? Twitter? Or
Yes,
what?
yes.
Spell it.
ZPAC Covenant, like the promise of God, Deuteronomy 8:18. ZPAC Covenant Resources. In fact, look that up, everybody. Look it up, Deuteronomy 8:18. That's what you need to do. So if you're interested in learning about buying a home, if you want to restore your credit profile, if you are interested in any sort of cash property, income producing property purchase, anything like that, I'm your girl.
And is that on Instagram or Twitter or what?
Yes, yes, and yes. Well, not Twitter. I still don't, I think I'm too old. I'm still trying to figure out Twitter. But you can find me on Facebook for sure. And it is under my name, Danielle Payton, with ZPAC Covenant Resources.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. And Miss Angelique.
I am not on social media. I don't have a business. I just
Yes, you don't. Yes, you do. I go to your business every April. Easy Expo.
Like something to market to other people. This is just, I'm just
Easy.
trying to.
So, okay, so we're not
I
doing
need a
that.
tax person. I need a tax person.
Oh, you need a tax person. Okay. My husband's tax business is easyxco.com. And that's his website. Actually, he's coming to interrupt the meeting right now. But just a minute, we're almost done. Do you want to give your social media info for the meeting?
What?
So people for marketing.
The vacant home guy?
Oh, thevacanthomeguy.com.
Okay.
And easyxco.com.
easyxco.com and
The real estate.
thevacanthomeguy.com. All right, thank you.
Perfect.
All right, perfect. And then
If any of you would like to meditate and do some yoga, I do a yoga class Monday morning, sun salutes at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's what, 10 a.m. East Coast time? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, I can send you the information so you can log on.
What's your
to
Instagram,
your
Gina?
emails. At Gina Maria Chill.
Okay. And I'm working on my website, but it will be GabrielleThurmond.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Love My Bougie. Love My Bougie. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to stop the recording and